Hey, Loida, how are you?
Hey, Paula, I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm good. And Carol?
Hi guys, how are you?
Good.
Hello, ladies.
Yes, we're
So
like the Three
excited to,
Musketeers.
yeah, so excited to have the three of us in one space.
Yes, me too.
Yeah, I guess we should all do introductions for those who don't know us. I'm Paula
Mhm.
Ponte. I'm with eXp Realty, and I am here in Central Florida.
I'm Carol Fahy. I'm with Remax. I'm here in Delaware.
And I am Loida Velasquez. I am with Team BC, eXp Realty in Southern California.
Awesome. And so we just wanted, Carol and I wanted to be able to have an opportunity to meet with you and ask you a couple of questions if that's all right.
Yes, of
Just
course.
because, you have such a huge following on YouTube, obviously. So you've been making all the right moves, and if you can just start off telling me like when you got started, what got you into real estate, just the kind of the beginning.
Yeah, so I got into real estate about 5 years ago. Prior to that, I used to work in marketing and advertising. I did that for over 8 years and I absolutely loved it. I was working with a lot of high profile clients doing events, product launches, in entertainment, automotive, consumer goods, movies, film. I mean, I was doing everything. I was traveling all over the country, but it got to the point that I just didn't see myself living out of a suitcase from hotel to hotel for the rest of my life. And I wanted to make a change. At that time, real estate was not something that I was considering, but then I saw the success that Brian was having. And initially, it kind of started like a joke, like, hey, so when are you going to hire an assistant?
Oh,
When I
wow.
asked him that, I was still working. Yeah, when I asked him that, I was still working. I was working as a program manager for a very big company in downtown LA, which was about 4 miles from where I lived. When I got that position, I thought that that was it for me. Like, oh, this is my dream job. But I quickly realized that I hated the cubicle life. And
Mhm.
that's why I started to consider something else. So Brian told me, look, real estate is not for everyone. It's not glamorous. If you want to get into it, this is what you have to do. You have to get your certification courses, and then you can see if you are going to like it or not. But I'm not going to tell you to do it. You have to make the decision on your own.
Mhm.
So I decided I was gonna look into it, do my research. I applied to get the certification courses, and at that time I was so fed up with where I was working because it was a very negative environment. The people there, it was like I was being overworked and underpaid. And the place, I ended up working with another company right before I transitioned. And that place, even though it was maybe 15 miles away from where I lived, with traffic, it would take me like 2 hours to get there in the morning and to get back. So it was
Oh
just
my.
horrible. And I was like, I'm done with this.
Yeah.
So December of 2014, that's when I completely left that, started my courses, and transitioned into full to real estate full time, and have been doing it ever since.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. And when you first started, what brokerage company did you go with?
When I first got my license, I went with Realty One Group, and
Oh,
the reason that I went with them was because I had heard it's like 100% commission. So we figured, oh, okay, well, this is perfect
yeah.
because Brian's teaching me everything. But then, even though there's a lot of brokerages that are like that, there weren't that many resources available to us. So it was kind of like you on your own. And then Brian was with another brokerage. So it just didn't make sense. So I ended up switching over to iHeart Real Estate, which is a very small boutique real estate brokerage owned by one of our friends. And then we were there for over a year. Then we transitioned to Keller Williams. And then like 2 years ago is when we made the switch to EXP.
Oh, wow. So you've been with
Oh, wow.
EXP since 2018.
Yes. Mhm.
Okay. Awesome. And so if you were going to give advice to a new agent, what would you say are like the three things that a new agent would need to be successful?
Well, for a new agent to be successful, it's a combination of a few things. So first of all, you have to be very structured and disciplined with your schedule, because I feel that many agents, especially in the beginning, if you're leaving a corporate job, you might be thinking like, oh, I finally have some freedom and I can create my own schedule and I'm my own boss.
Right.
But then once you get into the business, you quickly realize that it's not as easy as you thought it would be. And once you actually start putting in the work, it's like you're putting in more work than when you worked at your previous job. But this time you're not making any money until you're closing a deal.
Right.
So having that structure and that discipline is definitely one of the key factors for success. Along with that is becoming knowledgeable in your skills, in your scripts, what to say, how to say it, depending on who you're targeting and who you're calling. Just become very good at whatever it is that you're going to do, whether you're going to stick to making phone calls or going door to door, and master your communication and listening skills. And then along with that, surrounding yourself with people that are kind of like on the same level as you, or that are looking to inspire and become successful. Because especially when you're new, you're going to have a lot of people that will doubt you, that will say, why are you transitioning? Why don't you get a real job? Or they might question, oh, but Loida had a really good job. Like, why did she leave that for real estate, which is very uncertain? So you have to know exactly why you decided to make the transition, and know that it will take time, but eventually if you put in the work, you're going to see the results.
Absolutely. And, I can't agree with that more, that last part. Well, I agree with all of them, but the last part, when you said surrounding yourself by other people that really understand, and that's what I've done as of recent. And it's been a game changer for me in my life, because I felt like I was sort of on this island, which I know Carol would love to have an island by herself, right, Carol? That's Carol's goal.
Yeah.
But when it comes to building your business and being on an island by yourself, it's just, that part doesn't work. And when you have people that you're surrounding yourself that are successful, it's everything. It means everything.
Yeah. Exactly.
What would you say you would do for somebody who's maybe not the most struck? Like, I would not consider myself, I consider myself a little, sometimes ADHD, a little bit, need a little work with my organization. Carol's like super organized. So we're perfect. We're perfect, like yin and yang, you know? But what would you suggest to somebody to work on in terms of their organization? Is there any special magic tricks that you have for that, or tools or technology or anything that you can think of?
So there are so many programs available out there that I think what happens is that many agents kind of get overwhelmed and they want to try out all of them, and then they have leads like everywhere. So I would just say pick one and stick to it and see how it works out for you. Depending on how techy you are, there are some that are very advanced, but then there are also some systems that are very basic. I remember when I first started, my system was just Google Sheets, and I had a whole bunch of different tabs like hot leads, warm leads, appointments, my database, sphere of influence, and that was it, just Google Sheets.
Right.
Nowadays, there's a lot more programs that some of them are free with your association and the MLS. There's also one that I have been using recently, which is Trello.com. I even created a template on there. You could go to Trello.com, under the sales section, you will see real estate organization. And that's another great one, especially for newer agents, because I have broken down the section so that you can just go in, put in your leads. It will send you automatic notifications through text messages or even to your phone, because it's an app. And that would be a very basic entry-level one that will get you going so that you can get organized.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, I did try the Trello from that real estate organization, and it is fantastic. You can go to your computer, you can go to your phone and have the app. I mean, it's just so easy to plug everything in. I know Carol did the same thing. I mean, it's great. So we love it.
And you can like move your tiles around very simply. So if a client goes from cold to warm to hot, you just pick the tile up and move it over. I love the Trello.
And I love it because it's free. And I'm pretty sure you guys have seen that there's a lot of other systems out there that it feels like they charge an arm and a leg. And if you're new and you're not getting any deals, you're like, I can't afford this. What's the next best option?
I wish I had this. When I first started, my brokerage that I went with didn't have, the greatest CRM. So I went and I paid $175 a month as a brand new agent. I mean, I was working a full-time job, but still, like, I didn't want to, if I had Trello, it would have been so amazing if I had known about that.
Yeah.
exactly.
And hence why you surround yourself by successful people right there, because that's how I found out about Trello.
Yeah.
So, in terms of leads, you've got this organized system in place. You're generating leads. What is the best way that you find to do some lead generation? Like when you were starting out, and then maybe kind of talk about like now how you do it now that you're more experienced.
Yeah. So my entire first year, all I did was door knocking, because at that time, Brian, he was still door knocking. He was still very actively prospecting every single day. And since I was shadowing him, I was just doing what he was doing. Mm-hmm. So we were door knocking every single day. It would be 100 degrees. I would be there. He would be on one side. I would be on the other side. And that's what I did. And then eventually, he at that time also had a dialer, but we weren't using it as often. Sometimes in the afternoons, we would hop on the phones. And then I remember him telling me, like, look, you should start also making calls, because you're more likely to speak to a lot more people in an hour compared to door knocking. Mm-hmm. So that's how I started getting on the calls. So pretty much after the first year of door knocking, I transitioned into making phone calls. I pretty much went after expireds and for sale by owners, because the way, again, that he taught me, and I tell people, I feel like I was very military trained, where it's like, this is what we do, this is when we do it. That. We don't do this, and that's how it is.
Yeah, you guys are training ever.
Right.
Yes.
So I'm curious, if you don't mind, your first year, you said you did nothing but like door knock all year. How many deals did you do in your first year?
My first year, it was 6 deals.
See, that's amazing from door knocking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And I was out there, and I remember, and it's funny because even before I transitioned into real estate, and I had seen Brian already in real estate, when he would tell me that he would cold call and door knock, at this point, when he got into the business, I had no thoughts about getting into the business. And I remember thinking to myself, cold calling and door knocking, oh my God, that's so embarrassing. I'm never going to do that.
Never doing that.
And look where I am now. Yeah, that was
crazy. Oh, you call Loida on a Monday afternoon. You're like, what are you doing? She's like, door knocking.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. Do you have a preference between, like, I've done both, and I know that I have a preference right now. But I will say that for me, when I go door knocking, I do feel like at least the people are way more perceptive, and you can be personable not on the phone. You can be very personable with them in person, and you don't get doors slammed in your face like people might think,
Yeah.
But on the phone, I mean, people, like, I've been cursed out on the phone,
Oh, yeah.
And I've never been cursed out door knocking. So do you have a preference?
I would feel, well, I love the phones just because I talk to more people compared to the doors. But just like you, I prefer door knocking because I have a better conversation with the person, and I'm able to build rapport. And if they are eventually going to do something, I'm most likely going to get that business because I know how to talk to them and get that deal.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Can I ask?
Yeah.
Can I jump in real quick? So I hear you talking, and I'm thinking, did you know Brian before you got into real estate? How long have you known Brian?
Too.
Yeah, I've known Brian since 2012. So I've known him before he even got into real estate.
Oh,
really?
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah. So I've seen also his transition
and his growth.
And yes, which is like night and day.
Potential. Yeah.
Exactly.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's so funny. I used to watch each of you when I got into real estate. You and Brian were the first two that I've watched separately. And then I would see, I think the first video that I saw of the two of you in the same space was by a pool. There was a in-ground pool. I don't know if you remember. I don't know where that was or.
Oh, yeah. So that's where he lived, and we would work out of his house. So for the first, so we've always worked out of where he lived. And initially, so when he talks about, I used to live in this little shitty 400 square foot apartment. That's where we would go. When I first started door knocking, I would be there 8 o'clock in the morning in that little shitty room.
Oh, how funny!
Go door knock. Yeah. So
oh my gosh,
I've been there before, throughout, and up until now, and it's just crazy. how like the mindset is so strong, and how if you have your goals and you're so dedicated and committed and you're like, no one's gonna stop me, like the opportunities are endless.
Right. Absolutely.
Yes, they are.
Yeah. Carol's like, I'm going to get my island.
I want my island. Everybody knows it. I'm not shy about it.
For those of you watching,
I want
Carol
my
wants
island.
an island. Like she wants to be on an island.
Right. Like I want to own the island. Like that's, because when people used to say, if you hit the lottery, what would you do? That was always my answer, buy an island. And it wasn't until I met Brian who introduced me to all the people, and the mindset was set your goals so high, they take your own breath away.
Yeah.
And that's the first time in my life I actually thought about an island as something I could purchase from working, like that I could earn, And so, so now, I'm dead. I want my island.
Yeah.
It's on my wall. It's right there.
Yeah. And it's funny that you mentioned that, because I feel the same way. That's kind of how he helped me, because I feel that he helps a lot of people kind of break through that barrier of like their potential. Right. And I remember my very first year in real estate, he would tell me like, what are your goals? Like, what kind of car do you want? Where do you want to live? And at that time, my dream car was the Audi A7. And I remember seeing it and I was like, that's an expensive car. And I thought back then only rich people can afford that. Like I can.
Now you rock that Audi like, what?
Yes. And then he was like, no, you got to write down, you got to get a picture of it, put it on your wall, write it down as a goal. And I think it was a year and a half later, I was able to check that off my list, and I got my Audi A7.
That's awesome.
And so I was very proud of myself, but it wasn't until like he made me see that it was possible. And it was also through other streams of income that I was able to start generating for myself, that I now started to think outside the box, to the point that now it's like, okay, what can pay for my things that's not my business, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. So now that you've seen that level and you've been able to check things off the list, what's on your list now? Like, what are your goals now?
What's on your vision board? Yeah.
My vision board?
Yeah.
So in terms of not material things, what I want to do now is build a bigger community for women and empowerment, especially in sales and confidence. Because I feel that a lot of women, and that's actually one of the reasons why I created my YouTube channel. Because I remember when I first got into real estate, I would go onto YouTube because I wanted to get an idea of what real estate was like. And I would always see these old men talking about real estate. And I'm like, where are the women at? Like,
where
I
are the
want a
women
woman's
at?
perspective.
Right.
Yeah. So over time, that's why I've been consistent with growing my channel. So now it's gone to the point that I want to continue doing that, because I get messages and comments from women all over the world that are like, I saw your video and you gave me that confidence to pick up that phone and just make that phone call, even though I wasn't sure if I wanted to do it or not, but just watching you inspired me. So it's just kind of creating that. I want to grow it bigger. I want to be able to impact a lot more women, especially women again, because I don't think that there's many like leaders out there making it known for them. And then aside from that, I just want to continue growing with the team, building more agents. You guys know TBC, working with Brian. So there's just a lot of opportunities. Even last night, I was writing down in my calendar, and I have it here in front of me, all of the different projects and things that I'm working on. And I have a list of like 10 things that I'm currently working on. And I was telling Brian about this earlier. I was like, it's kind of like it's overwhelming, but it's not scary, but a little bit, but it makes me excited because I know it's taking me to that next level of like, okay, what's the Loida capable of? Like, let's take it up a notch.
Because it forces you to become even more organized.
Yeah.
And to become even more aware of what you're doing.
Does it ever
level up, Loida, level up.
Does it ever take your breath away? That's how I get sometimes, where I start thinking big, and Carol has actually helped me with that, one-on-one when we talk a lot, I'm like, oh gosh, Carol, I don't know, that's a little bit too big. And I'm like, okay, wait, let's do that. And then I start thinking big. But do you ever have these goals that just take your breath away?
Yeah, I do. And I would feel like exactly what you just mentioned, where you're like, oh my God, this is so big. And I remember I would tell Brian, and he'd be like, big compared to who? Or
Right,
like,
compared to what?
Yeah. Or I remember like he would say, oh yeah, some people say they want $1 million and that's a lot. Well, $1 million compared to who? Like Lil Wayne makes like 40 million, like $1 million is nothing. So that does not mean that you can achieve it.
Right.
So it really depends on how you look at it, because they might be big to us, but for somebody else, these are like little goals that they achieved like years ago.
Right.
So somebody did them. So of course we can do it too.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
And we will.
Yes, exactly.
Not can, are. We are doing
We
it.
are going to do it.
Yes,
We are doing it.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, Loida, thank you so much for taking the time to answer just some questions that I know other agents are going to find, really valuable. And I have learned so much about you in this short time. So I do appreciate it.
Yes, of course. No, I'm always happy to talk to you guys. And Paula, I think I've mentioned it to you before. You are just like my mom in the way that you look. So anytime I see you, it's like I'm talking to you. Even Brian
That's so
tells
funny.
me, Paula, every time I see her, it's like I see your mom.
You still have to show me that picture of your mom.
Yeah.
That's so cute.
I will show you. Yes. Well, yeah, I'm glad that we made this happen, and hopefully a lot of agents do get a lot of valuable information from our conversation. Absolutely. And now I'm going to take it upon myself, because we're going to transition on over. Let's talk about social media. We're going to do that with Carol.
Yes.
Yes.
And I'm super excited for you to do this with me, Loida. I have questions. Yes. You know me, woman. I got questions.
Yes. And I got answers.
I love it. So, of course, the first question is, were you doing videos prior to getting into real estate? Like, I know you came from a marketing background, and obviously video is important in marketing, but was it something that you did, or is that something you transitioned into?
No, I never did videos before I got into real estate. In fact, growing up and when I was younger, I was a very shy person. I was that introvert person in high school and middle school that people would be like, oh, Loida, she's so shy. She's so quiet. Like, she doesn't really have a lot of friends. So the fact that I'm doing video now would be a shock to a lot of people that knew me growing up.
Right.
And when I did work in advertising and promotions, my job was more scouting for talent or artists that would be able to be the face of the brand. So in a way, the way that I'm now, I almost feel like it's come full circle. And now I'm on the other end because I put myself out there and I stopped being this shy girl that people thought like, oh, she's just there, Loida. You're not going to hear from her. Yeah. And the reason that I started to do video is because there weren't a lot of women talking about real estate on YouTube.
Right.
So I figured I wanted to put my journey out there because it would definitely help someone that, especially if they were a newer agent, they would be able to relate to me. And if I would be able to at least provide some type of value through my videos that would help someone get a listing or work with a buyer or maybe weed out someone that was a tire kicker, then that was very fulfilling to me. And eventually over time, I did start to get those messages. Initially, my intention when I did start to make videos on YouTube, it wasn't to gain a following or to become a YouTuber. It was just more to put out valuable information based on what I was going through as a new agent. And it just so happened that I was consistent with it, doing videos every single week. And then I saw the responses from people following me and subscribing and leaving comments like, oh, this is really good information. And then that's why I knew, okay, I have to continue doing this because it's helping people.
Mm. Very cool. Thank you. And I love the part that you're doing it. Mostly your journey started out because you wanted to empower other women. Yeah. Because let's face it, as women, we're taught you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that. You don't want to be a bitch, right?
Exactly.
You don't want to be too aggressive. Mm-hmm. You don't want to be overbearing. But these are qualities that you need. Maybe because in the business world, men equate a successful woman with bitch, but actually it's just competence and confidence.
Exactly.
And so they're very, this scares them. They're like, oh, what do? I don't know how to deal with this woman. Well, it's very simple. You just have a basic conversation with her because she's a confident, competent woman. You can do that. But they just right away, they just freak out. So it's nice that you're being that little beacon of hope. For the women who are looking for it, you know what I mean? Like, oh, it is okay for me to be successful. Exactly. It really is.
Yeah. And I think also very quick, I feel that a lot of women feel that it's not ladylike to put your foot down.
Exactly.
Like, you have to be nice and you can't say no, or you have to like beat around the bush and sugarcoating, and it's like, no, like this is the way that it is. If you don't
You
like
go,
it, then
there's the
find
door.
somebody else.
Don't let it hit you where the good Lord splits you.
Yes.
You know, Loida, you just touched
Yes.
on something that just literally triggered like a childhood memory, and now I know why I am the way I am right now. Because my mom always said to me, like I was very mouthy when I was younger, and I was always told, Paula, you need to, watch your place and blah blah blah.
Women, that's not how women act.
Stop being sassy and do that, And it was always like, kind of like the thumb down on me to like chill and be polite and be this and be that. And you can still be polite, but it doesn't mean you can't be a little bit sassy.
I just, one of my favorite things from growing up was, and it's funny because now I'm 47. I'm going to timestamp for this one. But one of the things that I used to love was, oh my God, if you're not married by the time you're 30, you're never going to get married. Yeah. But what nobody tells you, and women, please listen up, what nobody tells you is that if you're not married by the time you're 30, you're right. I wasn't going to get married, but it wasn't because men weren't asking. It's because I wasn't willing to put up with the crap that they wanted me to endure to be married to them. And so it has nothing to do with any external factors and everything to do with the growth that you experience as a woman and you're going into your 30s. So it's just so interesting, the things that they tell us. And then it takes us kind of going against the grain in the world, and being that one little lone woman out here doing it, and then realizing, oh, well, wait a minute, I can do this and I can be successful. And I can have that Audi that I want. And it's okay, right? The sky didn't fall.
Yeah, exactly. And it's funny because when I'm making these calls, obviously I have made hundreds of phone calls, and I have become more confident along the way because I know what to say and how to say it. Obviously, I wasn't like that in the beginning. Right. I was too nice in the beginning on the phones, and I had to become more kind of like a bitch, like a dick. Because you ladies cold call, there will be those times that you get a dick on the phone and you have to immediately fire back, get on their level, and then they kind of come back. Right. And many times I've called these men out and they back out and they're like, oh, wow. Okay. So, and then I'm able to convert them, but then they give me props. They're like, you know what?
Because they respect you.
Exactly.
Because you weren't that doormat that they thought you were going to be.
Yes.
So they couldn't just go bah, bah, bah. And you were like, oh, I'm so sorry. And cower in fear. Instead, you were like, what? Who are you talking to?
I don't apologize when I'm making these phone calls. Nope. For me, in my head, I'm like, dude, you need me. Like, I'm not going to apologize.
Right.
While your last agent didn't get the job done.
Exactly.
And I'm very straightforward like that. And I almost kind of laugh. So for me, I kind of just make it like I'm a smartass, but it works for me.
Yeah.
And then many times these people tell me, you know what? I like your confidence, and you're the only person that I've actually had a long conversation. Everybody else, I just tell them that just leave me alone and stop calling me, and I hang up on them. But I don't know what it is about you, and I'm just here talking to you. Right. And I know what it is, but it's just the confidence and just breaking that pattern of who they're used to, these cookie cutter people calling them. And then here is somebody else knowing what to say, but comes out of left field with something else. They're like, oh wait, I wasn't expecting that, especially from a woman.
Right.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And it's so wonderful that you've had that growth, because you said you've only been a realtor now for 5 years.
Yeah.
So you've experienced all that growth in 5 years.
Yeah. You guys can go on my YouTube channel. I posted my very first for sale by owner phone call that I ever made. It's on YouTube. It has over 100,000 views. I was horrible. And for anybody that wants to get into real estate, or it's a new agent, you can go back to my very first videos and see how terrible I was and compare it to now and see the entire transition to hopefully inspire you and be like, wow, Loida was terrible in the beginning. She didn't know how to talk. And now she's getting deals at 7%. She must be doing something right.
And the thing is even though you were terrible, you still stumbled over 6 deals that year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just being a hard worker and being there and present in the job, you still had 6 deals, even being meek and, oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Over time, I got more thick-skinned and a little bit more confident and aggressive, I guess.
Yeah. I can't wait to see her in another 5 years.
I know, right?
She's going to be ruling the world.
She's not going to want to talk to us now.
Right. We'll be like, Madam President. So what advice would you give to anyone who is looking to start a YouTube channel or an Instagram following? What advice would you offer them in how to build that channel and build that audience?
Yeah. So one of the first things would be just kind of think what it is that you want to make your channel about.
Okay.
So for example, for myself, I started creating YouTube videos for other agents, kind of like training videos. Maybe whoever's watching might want to do videos targeting consumers, whether it's buyers or sellers or whatever it is. So decide on a theme of what you want to talk about. And the key is just being consistent. In the beginning, for the first 2 years, I filmed all of my videos on my iPhone 6 outside in the backyard with a pool in the back with an ugly ass fence. You'll see it there. I didn't have lighting. I didn't have a microphone, but I had some very valuable information that I know could help.
I just got a microphone.
Oh,
Me too.
Oh, we got matching microphones. I'm gonna need one of those too.
Yes.
Yeah. So sometimes it's not about the equipment, but it looks like you ladies got some good equipment there. But
at least for the ladies.
Let's get back to this video.
Let's get back on target because this could go way left field right now.
Yeah, no, and you know, I'm glad that we're laughing about this because entertainment and value is really what's going to have people going back to the channels. Because if they see, okay, you know, I'm watching Paula and Carol, they're giving out some really good info and they're hilarious. Like they're down to earth. I could totally relate to them. If I saw them in the street, I'd want to like have a coffee or something with them. Yeah. So you want to be able to come across like that. I feel there's a lot of people doing video, but they're like very cookie cutter, that they're one way in video, but then in person, you're like, wait, you're like the complete opposite person from what I just watched. Mm-hmm. So you want to be genuine and congruent in whatever it is that you do. Yeah, authentic. And consistent, at least a video a week, and cross promote it. Send people to your Instagram, send people to Facebook. The way that I do it is that in every single video, I include my Instagram on there. And that's how I've been able to grow my Instagram as well. It's all been organic. I have never paid for any ads. So since I have my biggest following on YouTube, people have gone and found me on Facebook, on LinkedIn, and on Instagram, just from YouTube.
Okay. How do you think the videos have helped your business?
So because I get a lot of agents that are watching me, it's gone to the point that I do consistently get referrals from agents from other states, whether they have a client that's moving to California or moving out of California. So it's helped me tremendously because now I have become and positioned myself as that expert in real estate out in Southern California. And because I'm always posting consistently, I'm staying on top of people's minds. So whenever they come across someone that tells them, oh, real estate in California, they automatically think of me and Team BC and just out here.
Amazing. So you do get a lot of leads from this.
Yeah. Right now I get like between 1 and 3 referrals a month.
A month.
Oh, wow.
That's amazing. So how many deals are you closing a month now?
It's between 2 to 3 a month.
Every single month. Well, well, first of all, congratulations. Kudos. That's quite an accomplishment. Wow, that's a lot of deals every month. So what do you think the next step is for you with social media?
So I want to continue growing my social media just because of the business that it's bringing me. Yeah. Also because I have grown it to the way that I have, now I am able to partner up with a lot more companies that do reach out. So working on a lot more projects, but I want to put out more content. So I've been putting out a video or 2 a week. I want to increase it to 3 a week. I want to become more engaged with the people that are watching me, whether it's on YouTube, on Facebook, on Instagram. So I'm incorporating going live a lot more to have these agents feel like they have access to me, even though they might not know me, but they feel like they know me just because they see me all the time. And I think ultimately that's going to take me to the point that when I do grow this empowerment for women, whether it's an event or a community or just like the movement, people will know that, okay, Loida is that genuine person. You can see her everywhere and she's exactly like how you see her on YouTube.
Right. Hashtag Loida's women's movement.
Yeah. And didn't you start Wonder Woman Wednesday?
Yeah. I started Wonder Woman Wednesday. Yeah.
That is that. Cool.
So Wonder Woman Wednesday, it's a series on Instagram where every single Wednesday I interview a successful woman in either business, fitness, a whole bunch of different industries, because I want to bring value to my audience. So we go live every Wednesday and I pretty much interview them and they share with me their experience, how they got to where they're at, and also any tips, advice, and motivation for the people watching.
Oh, that's amazing. I didn't even realize that. Look, I've been a little busy. I haven't been on my Instagram. I'll go back and watch a couple Wednesdays worth. So earlier you had said that within a year and a half, because you were able to get your Aldi within a year and a half, and one of the things that helped you do that, you contributed to having additional forms of revenue.
Yeah.
Can you talk to us about what they were and how you built them up so quickly?
So the form of revenue that I wanted to build to get me to get that Audi was Google AdSense. So once I started making money from my YouTube videos, there was a point that I told myself, okay, once I'm making $400 a month, then that's going to be able to cover my car payment. And then that's how that happened.
Okay. Well, there you have it. Well, I appreciate you talking with us about this today. For anybody who doesn't know, this is Loida. Hold on. I'm going to pull up your YouTube channel and I'm going to share my screen so everybody can find you, so they can go and follow you, because, you know, we love our Loida. So if you don't know how to find her or where to find her, this is her YouTube channel. She's Loida Velasquez here. You just go over here and you hit that little subscribe button, and don't forget to hit the notification button so you'll get notified whenever she's putting up a new video. If you want to follow Paula, look, these are all my usual suspects over here. If you want to follow Paula, you just go here to Paula Aponte, right over here on YouTube, hit that subscribe button, and then don't forget to hit, again, your notification button. And the one person we all three follow, and we're all in his program, this is Brian. We're going to give him a little plug since we're the three musketeers.
And what about you? Don't forget you, Carol.
I know, and Carol.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, please also follow my channel. You know, let's throw my channel up there real quick. As I'm growing, I'm realizing I might be changing my channel name, but this is me right here. Please subscribe and hit that little notification button so you get notifications of my videos. My latest one is, why does it take 5 hours to buy a car?
I love that thumbnail.
Wow.
Oh my God, right? You like that? Like, get me out of this dealership. Because I used to hear it all the time.
Nice. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you, Loida, so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
This has been great. Thank